Right. So for this section here, you will be talking about three animated series, right? Which actually just wrapped up this week, right? So you will talk about Secret Level,
Right.
Star Trek Lower Decks, the fifth and final
Sure.
season,
Right. Right.
and Dandadan. Because I remember
Right.
last
Right.
time you spoke about the first two episodes.
Right. No, so Secret Level is basically kind of like Love, Death, and Robots, but it's focused on on a video game of some sort. So that's what each like animated short is. There's really short animated shorts, and all of them are referencing some game of some sort, and every episode. And it's basically like what Love, Death, and Robots does. That's it. That's basically it. Because remember, a lot of the critiques of Love, Death, and Robots was, oh, hey, there's these things feeling like just like animated, cutscenes, like great cutscenes for a video game. Well, yeah, they just kind of lean into that, and they basically focus on these games. And everyone is, I think, directed by mostly the same person or mostly the same thing. It's put together by Rich Larson. He does a lot of the material, but it just really really good stuff. So what they do is they reference what they do well is they reference the things in the kind of the core concept of a video game itself, which is doing stuff over. Like there's a handful of these that do play on that, especially one video game that came out a couple years ago that I really liked. Dungeons and Dragons, basically a Dungeons and Dragons story. So this is not really a video game because Dungeons and Dragons is a very popular, the tabletop game. And it's applied to all kind of thing, but it does tell a really solid, fantasy story involving, wizards and Warcraft and just a guy having to just basically fix a curse, and he had to fix a curse off with this human. And it's a really solid shot, and it really works on its own. They're having to fight a dragon, but the dragon get corrupted, and there's a whole thing. The second one they did great is Sifu. Sifu is a game I'm talking about where it's about a guy. If you're playing the game and you die, you just get older every time, but you just get more skilled. So it's like an interesting game mechanic about making you pay for dying. So it's him. Every time he died, he come back. He's go to like this nether realm kind of thing, and you have to like fight his own soul, fight like a bunch of souls to come back. But when he come back, he's come back older, and by the end, he gets back older. They basically made a Sifu short movie, and it works. It's great. Next one is New World. New World is a popular MMORPG. And they tell like a great version of it. Now, New World, I never played it, and if I understand, it really falls flat as a game, not that great. But this was really, really funny and well done. Is a guy who goes to this island where they immortal, again, another repeat and die stuff because it's a video game. That makes sense. You play with that conceit. And it's him stuck on the island and him having to atone for his bad behavior. They do really funny. It's really funny stuff. Really, they make it work really good. Then they do Unreal Tournament. Basically, they made an Unreal Tournament short story, and it's great stuff. But they frame it from the perspective of the robots. It's a robot uprising, but the robots are the good guys here, and they play with that in that story really well. And they make a great again being killed as robots and coming back because they have to fight in the tournaments, and they effectively being punished for uh their like uprising and being too uppity, for lack of a better term, right? And then the next one is probably the highlight for me. For Warhammer 40k, they make a Warhammer 40k movie, and they basically just tell a typical Warhammer story. Warhammer is one of these nascent, really popular franchises that I never get into, and it's one of those things that like the not the nicest people are really into, but it's like one of those people who don't get that is a parody of that worldview and lifestyle because of how over the top everything is. So it's like a metal sci-fi fantasy universe kind of thing. I never really get into Warhammer to know the full details of the world, but it is enough. I know enough to know enough. But yeah, this short was great. Just really really gritty, grimy stuff. Telling a great story and going forward with that. And it's some good yeah, my boy Adam AC, Mr. Echo from Ting. In this one, it's like yeah, I would they make it hard. That is so they tell some solid story, and they get some good voice people for this one. This next one also stands out. Yeah, they make a Pac-Man story, Judd, and they like actually like give Pac-Man a story, but they make a whole world building concept out of it, and it is utterly horrified what they do with this. But this one I really recommend too. It's really clever. I heard they're gonna make a game that looks like this. I heard that. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. So these things kind of work as like kind of adds to the games one time. And these are really, really like dark, disturbing stuff, and they make it work. The next one is Crossfire. This is a game I never got into, but I thought it was pretty good, really interesting ideas. The idea of how it is really morality and who's the good guys here, and if you are the good guys or not. And it's really interesting stuff. I couldn't get into Crossfire. I never played the game, but it was an interesting thing. And then the next one as well is a personal favorite of mine, and this one had a nice little cameo. Keanu Reeves was starring in this one. Armored Core, right? Armored Core is a badass franchise, great little mech franchise. In my humble opinion, I think it's better than MechWarrior, but that's just me. I know I'll totally disagree with that. But yeah, it had some good people in this. Patrick Schwarzenegger was in this. That is, well, he was in Gen V the other day.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, he was Gen V. He died off. Uh, they make this work. Keanu Reeves is the stardust, and they just do the whole mech combat suit thing. And it had an Armored Core game came out the other day, but I didn't buy it. I'll when I find time. So we're continuing with this. It had a little break in terms of the time period of Secret Level. It was a few episodes, and then it skipped on like about a week, and then we get the rest of the episodes. So last from December 10th, it was Armored Core, which with Keanu Reeves. That was pretty good. And now we continue with The Outer Worlds, and this is a game I dug the hell out of. Right, it was kind of scratching the Fallout itch. We didn't have a new Fallout for a while. Fallout 76 was kind of trash, and to me, The Outer Worlds is exactly that. And yeah, we get a nice little Outer Worlds short story, and this really worked as this garbage scout kid who get catch in a story, and it really felt like watching like what the Fallout TV show was. It was like this, but like just a live action thing. They just take all your general decisions you would kind of make and then put it into one story and a nice quick short. And I thought this was pretty good. Really excellent stuff. This one really blew me away. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. Yeah, we get a Mega Man cartoon. Like holy shit! Like they could totally make a Mega Man movie, Dread. Like it's kind of shocking that they didn't do this earlier. Mega Man is one of these franchises. You could totally. It has so much material to pull from. It's like what 20, 25 games in the franchise. And you could do so much. Mega Man, to me, Mega Man is like, you see what they do with Sonic? They could easily do that with Mega Man, in my humble opinion. And it's kind of shocking that we didn't get a Mega Man thing. But with this, they nail it. It looks great. They call him Rock in this, which is Rockman is his original name in thing. But what they do is they have a story with Dr. Wily taking over Bomb Man from Mega Man 2. It's very Mega Man 2 centric. They play the music from Mega Man 2. It's Rockman. He take off the helmet, but you get the helmet in the ending, and then basically it starts off and it works like a kind of opening sequence to like a potential Mega Man series. But it looks gorgeous. And I was like, wow. What we get with Sonic, we should totally get for Mega Man, in my humble opinion. Shout out to somebody had a real good idea for a Mega Man movie. I think it was Bob Chipman. I had to dig up and find it. I think it was him. He had a real good like what I would do potential for Mega Man movie, and it was really good shit. Like they hired a man and make that movie, because that was like a genuinely exciting concept and premise for a Mega Man movie. But yeah, this was great, right? It's called Mega Man Start. Really good stuff. One of the highlights. Right, so number 11, this was the one I was waiting for the most. Exodus, Odyssey. So Exodus is a new game. This is a game that I was hyping up. It's all of the old people from Mass Effect coming back. Most of the old people. To me, the most important person and one of my favorite science fiction authors right now, Drew Kapashin. Yeah, and they just do a great story involving this guy a guy called Nick and his daughter. And the daughter runs away to go on an adventure, but because of the time dilation stuff, time passing different for the two of them, and he just trying to chase and get to her, and eventually they reunite under the really interesting circumstances, and they just do the great time dilation stuff, and the ending is very reminiscent of Interstellar. The ending of that, what they do with it is really great, and it's just a really strong Blue Studios, coming real strong with the animation, but it just, you get to learn about the world. I don't know, because not like with Mass Effect, where I know about Mass Effect, but I learned Mass Effect through the games. I haven't played the game yet. I only see a couple trailers of the game and a couple of stories before seeing this. But this is a great little side story to teach you about the world, how the time dilation works. Because that's like a big mechanism in the game, so they play with that in this and set that up really good. And yeah, this is excellent. Really good, had me excited, good voice acting, good story, make it work. They play with it had a big plot line involving something called an artifact that could change or effectively terraform a planet. They bring that back into the narrative, and yeah, that was just really had me hyped, and I just strongly really excited for this game now. It works like an ad for the game, obviously, but that's not a problem. Number 12, Spelunky. Not a super fan of Spelunky, played it once, just to see what it's about. But I know it have fans of the game, and it does tell a simple story about, Spelunky, Anna Spelunky. This one is called Tally. They just tell a real simple story about her, and it was an in and out for me. I didn't hate it or think it was thing, but it just didn't stick with me. I didn't like it bad or anything like that. But just It is just fine. Like it does in and out, and I didn't get super hyped up to it. But it's still pretty good stuff, all things considered. And yeah, I can't be mad at it. And that's what they do with that. Then number 13 is Concord, Tale of the Implacable. So Concord was this like kind of a failed game, or I haven't played about it, but I heard it was kind of pretty bad, and it kind of came and went and slowly pull it. So I'm not sure what this gonna go forward or why they made this, but I get the feeling that they made this long at the time, not thinking that the TV show would work out or anything like that. But yeah, this was alright too. Like it's just I'm not familiar with Concord at all, but this was okay. It did some decent style and aesthetics, and then they made it work. And it's just like a lot of fun and just put together a really interesting conceit. Honor of Kings, again, never knew about this. I didn't know it was a Chinese story. Yeah, it just gets into a lot of interesting Chinese, like, it does what it does brilliantly is the Chinese kind of esotericism, but also kind of Chinese pulp sci-fi, but mixing esotericism, and it's a lot of like, it's like, think of it as a pulp sci-fi fantasy, but also mixed with a lot of Chinese elements, and it's the idea of the heavenly machine, the supercomputer that running almost everything and controlling the city, but have a whole narrative involving like this guy who have to stop that, and the challenge of that, and the authoritative system of um how things deterministic, and it's a whole fate versus thing going on there, and it's just brilliant visuals. It looks great. Never played this game after getting to the game. I had no idea what it was about, so I was completely blind to this, but it was pretty good. And then the last one, Playtime Fulfillment. So I had no idea what this was about either. I thought this was a new project they were coming into, but it's just a really solid conceit. I think it's part of the Helldivers. I think so. I have no idea, but basically it's just this girl who's like a delivery driver, cyclist type, but it's in the future. Everything is all future and cyberpunky, and her having to make sense of and navigate the city and get into like a lot of trouble and drama with respect to that. But I think it's part of Helldivers. I think so. So I can really correct with that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The big standouts for me was Mega Man, and much like with the first half, Pac-Man was great, and which was the other one? Oh, Sifu and Warhammer was pretty good. All-in Tournament was okay too, but this time in the second half, uh, Exodus and Mega Man were the two standouts for me. They just look great. I mean, it's kind of shocking that we don't get a Mega Man movie by now, but this is it. Like, if you're doing a Mega Man movie, do it now. Like, this is really excellent stuff. So yeah, that is that. Yeah, rating, okay, 8 out of 10. This was just a solid outing. As I said, it's pretty much Love, Death, and Robots, but the entirely, instead of being super stylistic, it's just more the entire focus is the game cutscene stuff, which is not a bad thing at all. I dig the hell out of this, and they make it work. Yeah, rating pretty high, 8 out of 10. Dig the hell out of it. Loved it.
Nice, nice, nice. Up next, you will talk about the fifth and final season of Star Trek Lower Decks. I think you
Oh,
talked about the premiere just the other
yeah,
day.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Star Trek Lower Decks, the show got cancelled, so they didn't get a chance to, like, I don't think they had a chance to do a proper ending. But what they do is really good. Like, they just play out a lot of great conceits in terms of the final season. It's the show has a lot of growth for the characters. They have a lot of great episodes involving, like, there's a great time dilation episode where on the planet, I think it's 1 second in normal time is like, I think a week in the planet time. So the boy, I'm sorry, Mariner, the Vulcan girl, Tallinn, and Tendi, all of them go down to solve a problem because they had to look for something involving Purple Enterprise, some data. And well, literally data, because it's defined data's head, and Brent Spiner comes in for this. And this was like a nice standout episode for me. Like, it's just really smart stuff. To make it work. They had another great episode involving like the upper decks. So they flip the conceit by having, in the episode of Lower Decks from TNG, it was focusing on the lower decks. So this episode is like, oh, you have one episode focusing on the upper decks, and you get to see like it's like played like a normal episode of Star Trek, but during the TNG era or something like that. That's the idea. That was a really fun episode too. And then they had the one with like the food birds episode. That was pretty good. And then the final episode was pretty good. And this final episode, well, I should say the final two parts, is absolutely brilliant because they just do, well, the first part of it at least is a bunch of great, amazing cameos. Like a ton of great cameos they bring in. So they got back Jolene Blaylock for Topol. Shocking. I think Andrew Robertson and Edel Fatir it'll say for Deep Space Nine, we call him Garrick and Dr. Bashir. They come back. They get a alternate version of Dax, one of the Dax. So it's just a bunch of like Star Trek nerd shit. And then they had you find out, remember they say Boimler's teleporter clone or transporter clone died, but it was announced he died, but he really went to Section 31, and his job was to go to these alternate universes to fix this problem because they have some multiverse shenanigans going on, and he had to solve the problem. And then they bring one of the biggest cameos. I was shocked that they had. Lily Sloan. That was Alfred Woodard's character from Star Trek First Contact. Like what? Like, and it was this great story involving them, and they had to solve a problem involving like this thing that will literally destroy the entire universe. But they had to do it because it would have destroyed the whole multiverse. So they just say, all right, like concentrated on this one thing, and William Boimler sends it back to the universe that we follow, which is the Prime Universe, and then they play with that, and they had to solve the problem. And the final episode is rushed, right? It could have been better. It's still a solid finale, but it could have been better. And it just you could tell that they really wanted to do more with this. But I still thought it was solid. Like it was still really solid stuff. As a outing, I couldn't be mad at any of it. You know, it had all these little small jokes like in the beginning because it's involving multiple universes and multiple possibilities. They had like a little appearance by the Discovery Klingons, and in the end, it felt like the TNG finale, all good things action wise, and then it teased a couple of sequels, like the way how it is. It teased something that could be a potential like their version of DS9, but for the multiverse, like the way how they set it up, because it's like a space station next to a wormhole, but in the ending they do this wormhole. They didn't fix the problem, but they kind of seal off the problem for now. Then that could and then it could probably dovetail into Tony Newsom's new show. I think she have a new show they're working on a live action show, I'm sure. But a lot of people wanted the Starbase 80 show because there's a great episode involving Starbase 80. And Carol Freeman is no longer the captain, spoilers for that. But she leaves to go Starbase 80 to live with her husband. And like, all right, that's great. That's good stuff. And yeah, overall I love the show. Yes. As a show, it is a bit too inside baseball. And but it worked for me, and it's a real shame that it ended so soon. It's a damn shame. It's a sad thing. But overall, this was great. Like, there's a show that was perfect. Mike McMahon really did a good job with just saying, all right, how to do the Trek Forum Gun Sentient stuff, but make it work as a conceit. And, I know a lot of people don't like the show, and it have good arguments I've heard against the show, and I get it. But, I get it. But it is my style of humor and my generation of humor. And they nail it there, and I can't be mad at any of that. Lord X, great. As for the whole show itself, I'll give Lord X a 9 out of 10. Just as a conceit and what to do with it, because it was really genuinely funny stuff from the whole TNG season 8 Twitter, from since the days of the TNG season 8 Twitter thread, and what Mike McMahon is doing since then. And then for this final season, I'll give it like a 7 out of 10. It really felt rushed, and they didn't get a good chance to finish it off. So it's a lot of it suffered, and it had a lot of character moments that just felt like a rush and came out of nowhere, and you could tell they just kind of rushing everything as a finale. But as a finale, it's fine. Like it's just about as fine as the TNG series finale. Sorry. And I hope we get more. Like if they could do the Starbase 80 show, that'll work. A lot of people will prefer that because it'll work like a kind of multiverse DS9 in a sense. I can see it like that. But yeah, overall, great show. It's a shame that they didn't get a chance to end on their own merits, but they get a chance to finish anyway, so it's fine. Rating, overall as a show, 9 out of 10. Right, this season was weaker than previous, but that's how I dig it, and it's a real damn shame they didn't get a chance to do the thing. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. And last but not least in this animation TV show block, or I should say TV animated block, a show that I wish I had the time to check out, but time and Christmas coming up. So yeah, season 1 of Dandadan.
Yeah. Dandadan. This is a nice, weird, supernatural anime. I'll say with Dandadan, ultimately, it's style over substance in terms of the world building. The world building not wowing me just yet. Like nothing it's saying or doing is nothing beyond the typical like supernatural shonen. Oh well, this supernatural thing from Japan, like a yokai, is related to this thing that is an ordinary mundane object, and the main character has some power to sort that out. And we've seen many shows like that. But where it works as is one of the characterizations of the characters, the kind of the love relationship between Okoro and Momo. Their two characters really work. And then, of course, the style. Like, all the characters work. The music is great. The animation is amazing, like, truly fantastic. And then it goes in some really interesting places in terms of where the story is. And, well, where we it ends off in episode 12 is like kind of the halfway point of the narrative. So I think it'll come back in June, I think, or something like that, to finish off the season. And I think the first season will be like the first 24 episodes or so, and I saw basically how Dandadan would work. And yeah, I haven't, again, never read the manga, just thought it was just really funny stuff. It does a lot of great crass humor, but it just, the characters bouncing off each other, they have great chemistry. The world building, not wowing me just yet, but then the style of the aesthetic and how stuff look, how characters are drawn, why they are the way they are, and then just the aesthetic of the fights and how stylish everything look. And then that opening by Creepy Nuts and them is just a complete banger. It's one of the coolest openings. That song is higher thinking right through. But it just singing it is, in fact, I probably should have put it in my top 10 music for the year, right? But yeah, that song was just real hard, and I really want to see what they're gonna come up with the next opening with the show. But yeah, this was great. Just it just a bunch of series of just typical shonen supernatural elements thing, and it didn't wow me just yet, because it's just like, if you're familiar with anything with Japanese lore, okay, you see it before. In some ways it remind me of early Bleach. Sometimes it have that kind of aspect to it. But yeah, I wish it was. I mean, I don't know where going to go get better. But it's nice and weird. But at times it just feels kind of weird for its own sake, kind of thing, right? Overall rating for the show, yeah, I'll give it like a 7 out of 10 so far. Like 10 out of 10 mostly, but the style of it is really what holds it up, and then the characters and their relationship, especially the love story, and it's kind of a love story between Momo and Okoron. They make that work, and how that bounce off, and how these characters are, and it's just really just nice, reasonably wholesome stuff, but it's genuinely good opinions, good emotional stuff, like especially with Okoron being nervous about or being jealous of another character and what they do with that, and it's just funny stuff in terms of that, but they make it work, and I can't be mad at any of it. So yeah, rating so far, yeah, 7 out of 10. I don't hate it or anything like that, but I want to see where they're going to go with it going forward. So yeah, I dig the hell out of it. Yeah, man.